All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us for another edition of our Franchise Your Business webinar series. And I'm so thrilled to have Francisco Zanken with us. And he is going to be doing a phenomenal presentation to us, talking about territories and site selection and all different kinds of things. And just a little background as we are getting started. He's an architect and urban planner who graduated from UFRGS, which is a top 5 university in Brazil. He holds an MBA in marketing and communication from ESPM. With extensive experience in commercial and strategic architecture, he's worked with Brazil's biggest retail brand, bringing his unique vision and expertise to the table. As a startup founder, focused on Bar Technologies and a co-founder of a company that trains architects in business management and innovation, Francisco has demonstrated his ability to innovate and create solutions that drive business growth. Now he's the CEO and founder of Space Hunters, a company that uses urban technology to assist entrepreneurs worldwide. With 3 offices in Brazil and Miami, Space Hunters has helped over 1,100 people locate their businesses in more than 400 cities across 15 countries. Francisco is a true innovator in his field with a passion for architecture and business that inspires many. So with that, I would love to turn things over to you, Francisco, and have you take it away to give us a little presentation here.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for everyone that is listening to me. I'll show you a little material here that can, I hope so, in the end, explain to you, well, how can you locate your business properly? And for that, I'll I'll skip this introduction. You already gave me a very better introduction than the one I'll give you myself. And for this presentation, I start with 3 major points. First is who, then where, and then how. So who is your customer? Who they are and why they buy your product is the first thing that you have to understand when you're thinking about put a new business and open a new project. Then we go to where, that's what you want to hear. So where to put your location, what you have to listen, what you have to understand about site selection, and what you have to understand about urban planning to put your business there. And then in the end, how my company may help you in this situation. So let's start with the who is the shortest part. I divide here like 2 things that is important for me and for my clients to understand is first, why my client buy my product, and then what is their journey. First, we have to understand like the basics about Maslow pyramid, like what is your product, where you are in the pyramid. You are just a physiological needs, or you are like a self-esteem or a self-actualization, or you're something that your client admire or aspire more. That differentiate your business for a burger joint that just kills the hungry of him. You just need something to eat for $1, or you want to hang out with your friends or go out with your wife or family. And so in this case here, I not just want to kill my hunger and not just want to eat, have something to eat. I want something to pass the time and fulfill my self-esteem, to make part of something bigger. And according to this, understanding that, you also can understand where are your clients, where are their motivations, how they work, how they work. So first, we have some clients that just want to generate profit. They just want to buy your product to resell it. I don't know. I love this series here about the pawn shop, and what they do is probably just buy things and resell. But often you have clients that just try to avoid losses. So they buy something, they want to buy a product because they don't want to lose money in the process. That's one of the reasons some people buy Toyota Tacoma, for example. It is one of the least depreciation cars in the market here in the United States. Or you have a client that's just like me, want to feel pleasure or something, for to buy a perfume, for example, or in my case, to buy a Macallan 12 years. That's something that I feel pleasure drinking, and people will feel like I want to buy it in a higher value. Of course, this kind of purchase here, you are very high in the Maslow pyramid. And this kind of purchase, for example, you have to look into some kinds of features inside the city. And that's why it's very important for you to understand if you're trying to avoid paying in your purchase. So it's the main reason I have an Apple myself. And my associates here in my company also use Apple because we give this, we always say people like, we buy Apple because we are trying to avoid pain because it don't have gave me headache when I purchase it. That in contrast of a PC or for an Android cell phone. Or you can buy for self-esteem. That's why one of the reasons I go out with my wife sometimes and we go to this Italian joints pizza that we love. The time we go to Italy, we remember that. So it helps my self-esteem. It's not a very fancy, not a very expensive thing. So it can be one of the reasons people buy on your product or buy on your business. And the last one that I always say to my clients is about approval. Your it is an old movie from my time, this Wayne Worlds, and this part of the movie, they always say they are saying to the a businessman like, no, we are not selling ourselves for big corporations. We are not making a product placement. And all this part of the movie, there's making like product placements like Pepsi, Adidas, and so on. That's why we have in the now NFL Super Bowl like Apple Music featuring it. And also that's why we have so many weird Japanese apps that ads that we have like it's Sylvester Stallone or Schwarzenegger. They use their image, they use their brand to sell a product easily because this person, these actors, this person that are very famous, they give their image in charge in exchange of their product. Like Schwarzenegger is selling Yakult, that is fermented milk in Japan. Why that? Because when a Japanese guy look at it, he'll think like, okay, Schwarzenegger is putting his brand on it. He's putting his money where his mouth is. So probably it works. And that's important because when you understand why your client is buying for your product, where you are in the Maslow pyramid, you can also understand another thing that's important when we're trying to understand the kind of store that you open, the kind of business that you open, that is the purchase process or the purchase decision. Who is involved on this decision? And I always like to tell my clients about video game stores. That's something that I used to like when I was young. And when you have kids, almost every father says like, we have to buy a new video game because this kid needs something to entertain himself. So the initiation of this process of purchase is the kid. So who decide which video game is better or not? So you use influencers. So to influence your purchase, you use, for example, YouTube channels, you read some places, and your friends will influence the way you purchase. So you have the second step, who will influence the purchase. The third one is who decide. And probably who decide of this purchase is the parents. Who will buy is the parents. And of course, how the kid is the initiation of the process, who we use is, of course, the father, because we always use our kids as excuse to buy video games. And that's what we do. We have a lot of person involved in the process. And why that's important for location? Because when you understand who is initiate, who is involved in the process, who will affect the process of decision, you understand also why do you have to look in a city to locate your business as well. That same thing happens in the bride industry. Like when a bride have to buy her dress, what is initiation is the propose, of course. Who use is the bride itself, but who decide is probably the mother of the groom, and who pay is probably the family. So it's a lot of people involved in it, and that's important because for that we have to create our personas. We cannot understand well the located reasons if we not understand who's buying and what their preference. That's why we not just have to understand like my target, but we also have to create a persona for it. Like if I'm selling video game, for example, I'm not saying like my client's a person about 20 to 40 years old. He's male, probably. I don't know. He's like video games and he like music and so on. No, you can understand what to create a person. Like his name is Brad. He's about 35 years old. He's an engineer. He works in a like technological company or telemarketing company, and we create all his things that he loves. By that, we can understand better and we can create better the sales funnel for him. So we have to understand, okay, I'm gonna put a new video game store for Brad. where should I put it? I know that Brad probably don't like to make gym. He probably don't like to make exercise, but he loves to eat like in a burger joint, or he loves craft beers. So it go after this kind of point. So in order to make the awareness part of this funnel be bigger and better, we can be more visible for him. So we have to understand where to put the business in the city, and in where is where we go from now. And here is a little more deep in this part of the webinar. Why? Because we have to understand about city planning in the basics, and understand how the city actually works and which kind of city we have here in the United States. First, types of city. We have in the United States, strict types of city is much more easy than, for example, here in Brazil, because in Brazil we have 5 to 6 types of city in an urban area. In the United States, we have three. The first one is the urban center. How we call it is densified cities. It is like old cities from Europe. Here's Prague is a very interesting old city. What we have here in differentiation, you have here is commerce in the floor plan, and the rest of the building is full of apartments. So we have very high density. And this way, a business here don't need a parking lot. Why? Because people mostly walk from one place to another. You have a lot of population, a lot of density, and you have also a lot of opportunities for commerce. So that way, you probably won't put here an IKEA, because it would be very hard for a client to carry a furniture in his back, but also have a lot of opportunities here for a coffee shop, or for a bakery, or for a restaurant, and so on. That's happened also in the United States. In all over the old cities of the United States, old areas of the United States, you have like New York City, Manhattan. You have in some areas of Brooklyn. You understand here we have in some areas of Boston. Here is Boston downtown. You have also in the Bay Harbor area of Boston. We have like in Miami, Brickell areas, and newer area of the city that we have commerce in the street. You don't have parking lots so often because you don't need that, because the city is very densified. And also in downtown Atlanta, you have that as well, because in an area of the city that's older, you have much more people there. So you have to analyze your business. Don't need huge billboards, because people there used to be walking from one place to another. They probably won't walk from one place to another. And if they use cars to go by their itinerary, probably the car is will ride very slow, because you have a lot of people crossing the streets, you have a lot of things happen, and probably lots of traffic signs. So that leads us to the second side of the city that we have in the United States, that is semi-densified cities. What is it? It's probably in an area close to a densified area, not so densified enough. Here is an example of Japan. So it is more and more for an example that's happened everywhere in the world. And here's an example here from Brazil. That is the main business avenue that we have in São Paulo. And as you may see, the buildings here are very separate from each other. And one thing that you don't see here, compared from the picture that I show from New York, Atlanta, and Bologna in Italy, is that you don't have a lot of people walking the street. All the sidewalks here are empty, and all the flux you see here, all the traffic, are from cars. That's what happened. That generated the necessity for you to put in a shopping mall and big malls of stores. Because when I saw a city like Elkton here, what we see is a very low density, a very spread population. So if I go out of my house and walk from another place, probably I won't find a lot of places to buy, because the business cannot survive long distance. They cannot survive if the people living inside a block, inside a square. So for that, you need a parking lot for your business to succeed. You need to have it somewhere that you have a lot of opportunities. Here is Atlanta, is in the suburbs of Atlanta. You have some buildings here, but these buildings didn't create for me the enough density for me to have walkable through sidewalks. So that's why I have so many parking lots. Without these parking lots, my commerce in those areas probably won't work. And that's why semi-densified cities needs a lot of parking lot, and probably those areas will be very hard for you to make some kinds of business, like a grab-to-go coffee shop. Probably will be hard to implement here. Bakery will need a higher menu, and in the other side, to buy here like an IKEA furniture store, hardware store like Lowe's is much more successful for you because in this case you can sell bigger things. Your client have to go from one place to another with for furniture in his bag because he just put in on his truck. That's why in the most part of America we have like this big shopping malls, these big malls of stores, because this area not denseful enough. And why that happened? Because most part of the suburbs in the United States, they are something that we call in urban planning garden cities. That's a concept that birth in England in 19th century that believe that people should be more happy if they live in like in mid of the garden. And you have a lot of garden, a lot of city, very spread, and you have little center of commerce in the middle of these communities. And of course, all these communities are connected to one central city. That's what happened everywhere. You have that in Atlanta, you have that in Miami, in Orlando, you have that everywhere. You have the downtown area, and the rest of the city is like a garden city, as we see here. So what happens here? All the commerce tend to concentrate in one big lane, one big avenue. In some areas, this city start to semi-condensate, semi-concentrate, then became a semi-densified city. But a lot of these cases, what we have is an area that we don't have enough density to it create and generate business itself. So you need and you have to put your business in some determinate locations. That is huge shopping malls, huge malls of stores. Here is not the United States. Here is Brazil again, is São Paulo. And in Brazil, we have like one huge garden city in the middle of the city. And this area here, we don't have almost no commerce at all. And every commerce that we have here is in just one street. That is the main road of this neighborhood. And all the opportunities there are extremely high cost because they know, the owners, the landlords know that this location, that location, the only possible for a business. And that happened a lot in the United States as well. So when you're trying to go for a community that's far from big centers, big cities, what we have is that we have one or two malls of stores. That's the only opportunity. And for that, we cannot risk for more possibilities is like for a grab to go coffee is much more hard to put here because your client's probably walking by driving a car and the distance that he going from one place to another is much more further than a person that is living downtown New York, for example. That's why we have like Winter Garden. We have these little downtowns areas of the communities, which you have all the commerce there. You are all over. You have parking lots, free parking lots for the community that live around, gather here, and you also have a lot of parking buildings in the side of this road, main road here. That's what we saw in Winter Garden, Winter Park in Orlando, Florida, and we have all over United States this kind of thing because this is how most of the suburbs community tend to work. And then understanding the kind of cities that we going facing, we have to understand the trends, the urban trends, and how the city tend to occur and tend to happens. I divide here four major trends that you have to understand to locate a business. The first one is what we call concentration. One thing that I discovered in urban planning is that according to design of the city, the population that live inside that city use the city in determinate ways. So when I have some place that is near from everyone else in the city, everywhere else, it's again, this location tend to concentrate people much more easily. This is the city of Elkton, Maryland, and this area here that is very red in this map is the same area that we have most of the commerce and service in Elkton. The other area that we have a lot of commerce is in the Highway 40. This is the main highway that connects Philadelphia with Baltimore. That is in this way. And not just is important for commerce, this highway, that because connect two major cities in the United States, but also because inside Elkton is one of the best locations that tend to concentrate people. And that just not just happen inside cities, but also happen inside counties as well. This is the Polk County in Florida again. And here we have Orlando in that area, and Tampa is in the other side. So it's in between two major cities in Florida. And what happened here? We have these small cities in the middle of the county that is called Winter Haven, for example, and Winter Haven have the highest concentration commerce in the area. Why that happened? Not just because Winter Haven is in the middle of the way with two major cities, but also because it tends to concentrate people from Lakeland from to Davenport, and also it's easily to concentrate people that is living in Lake Wales or Bartow as well. So all the county see Winter Haven as is the center, the logical center of this the community. So they use the city as to go to college, to go to Lowe's, for example, go to a hardware store, go to IKEA. This is the best place. It's the natural center of the area. Other thing that's interesting that here we have the highway number 4. That's the main connection between these two cities, Tampa and Orlando. And what we found is that we don't have almost no commerce in this highway. Otherwise, in these little centers that my system tell me that is hot, almost all the commerce is in the Route 92 that is happening to cross the middle of the county. And all the commerce there because tend to concentrate people easily. That happened not just in Florida, not just in Maryland. That happened also in Germany. Here's a system that we have from client from Cologne in the North Westphalia, in the northern area of Germany. If you like soccer, we have a great soccer team in the north that is Bayer Leverkusen. That's in the north area. If you don't like soccer, don't worry, I don't know Bayer Leverkusen as well. And also happened here in Toronto, Canada. Here in this red area is the same area that we have almost all the commerce, all the main street of service of Toronto. They concentrate in the area that mathematically speaking, people, according to the design of the city, tend to concentrate. That's why we have so many things here. And they also happen in my city in Brazil. This is a population about 4.5 million people that lives in this urban area. And here in this red part is where almost all the real estate developers occur in the city. That happens. So that's one concentration. So what you may asking yourself is, okay, you tell me a lot of systems, you show me a lot of data. So I'm not the data guy. How can I understand that in the city? Well, it's easy. You have to observe the construction sites. Most of the time, these red areas that I show you in the map usually are the regions that you have a high real estate density on high real estate new enterprise. So you have to look after the new launches in the real estate department. You have to go after where you have a high liquidity in the real estate industry, and also where are the new constructions. Most of the time, where you have the most number of constructions are also the regions of the city that tend to concentrate people there. And if you live in the city, for you, what I show should be obvious. So because then what I show in the map is something that will feel itself. So observe where the construction, that's probably good for you. And also where you have a lot of commerce naturally happen. The second thing is the most obvious thing. It's about traffic, flux, where people tend to go. Because one thing is obvious for us is that, okay, I can be in a good neighbor. People tend to go there. It's easy for them to go there, but also my clients have to pass through in the front of my store. Otherwise, he won't understand that there is a store for him. He won't know that. So that we have an analysis. I know that people tend to go from point A to point B to the shortest way possible. My system calculate and added on top of each other all these possible ways and show me the system. But here I can show you that these two main streets in downtown area of Elton are the same two streets as the commercial street of the city. All the commerce of the city happens in this specific area here. Also, we have the Highway 40 is usable by the people from Elton itself. So that's why if I'm looking to open a new burger joint, for example, in Elton, I should rather look this highway here because it's near for everybody else, and also people from the city tend to use this place to go from one place to another. This area here is not that used by the people from Elton. So In this area of the highway, probably you just see people from Baltimore or Philadelphia passing through, not very good for some kind of enterprise, for example. And we have this also happening in Florida, Polk County. As you may see, something that I told you before, like the Highway 4 here is not very much used for commerce. That's why people within the county don't use that area for go from one place to another. They didn't use that road. They tend to use the other, the Magnolia Avenue, that's in the southern area here. So that's why we have so many service happening in this area. And the same thing happened in Cologne. Of course, in Cologne, we are talking about a medieval city, so they tend to use a lot of streets because it's very, very confused, the urban area, but it also happens in Canada. So in Toronto, we have this main area here, central area, that our last system show us tend to concentrate people there, but also have major streets there that tend to concentrate also the traffic of population. So here should be a very good place for me to put a new business. And that also happened in my city as well. And go to the third tendency. Okay, and this one is very easy for you to understand because it's just you to stare in the road and see if you have a lot of people going through there. And that happened everywhere else. So if you have a traffic jam, you have a lot of people passing through, it's probably one of these main streets that happens inside a city. One thing that's important is that these main streets are not, they are planned to do this way. The design of the city make the city, the street became a main street or not. So you cannot force a street to become a main avenue. It will happen according to the design. So it's just something that some urban planners understand, and they do things like that. And sometimes the urban planner didn't understand that. You have like a small street that have traffic jam all day long. That's why they don't understand the natural tendency of the city. Here is in Miami Brickell area, and we have like all all the streets that go north and to south direction, they tend to have a high concentration of traffic because the design of the city make them very important. And the same way the avenues in New York tend to concentrate. Here's Broadway, everybody knows that, but Broadway tend to concentrate because it connect a lot of parts of the New York City. All the streets in New York don't tend to concentrate flux because they don't connect as much area as we like that. And the third urban tendency that we have here that is according to its design of the city is the reach, the areas, the range of the city. So where is more walkable? Where I can attend, where I can get more clients according to the distance that I'm walking. Here is a distance about half a mile, a distance that a person easily can walk in this limit. So here we have like this neighborhood here is very walkable by its design. It's one of the areas of Elton that we have a lot of barbershop, for example. Why the barbershops happening there? Because people that live there understand that area is very good for them. The same thing happened in Florida. And every dark dot here is a center of service inside each one of those cities. That's the area that we have commerce, restaurants, we have service all over those darkest area here. Even the highways. We have those areas that's very important for the client to go, and easily you can reach most of the person of that area that we are looking for. That happened also in Germany. Most of the service here and the darkest area here is where are the Cathedral of Cologne. And this area where we have only commercial usage because the population that live there couldn't stand the cost of living in an area that is so much people want to go there very, very strongly. So people tend to concentrate the population in the weakest area, and how it's a tourist attraction city. We have most of the service for the tourists in this area here that's mathematically can range and can reach almost all the population of the city. And also, we have that occurring in Toronto. This darkest area is where you find most of the commerce in the city. Most of the retailers, most of the service, most of the commerce in the city occur in this darkest area here. So the commerce in the city is not an accident. The commerce in the city, where it occurs and what it happens, is something that you can design in the city, and or you can understand without staying there. Everything that I show you, you can see that by the design, by mathematical situations. But if you don't have how to calculate it, one thing that you can understand it is looking for the neighborhood commerce, where you have the most number of barber shops, where have the most number of hair salons, where I have like a gym, where I have CrossFit boxes, where you have like all the commerce. Where are you outside downtown city, downtown of your city, and you find a lot of service, probably is neighborhood center, and that's important for you to identify, because identifying that you can understand if it's a good place for you to put your business in the neighborhood area or is not. So look after the other commerce, look after what other people are doing, and if it's another new neighborhood that is being building, probably you have to understand a little bit about urban planning, or you can count on us. But other thing that's important, otherwise those factors that are related with the urban planning of the city, with the design of the city, is clustering. And clusters are very important from some kind of business. Why? Because in some kinds of industry, if you're inside a cluster, so if you're inside a region that have a lot of the same kind of commerce, your profit can be up high to 70% higher than the usual. Why? Because when I go after a restaurant with my wife, if this restaurant is full or stack of people, or I don't like the menu, if I walk like 10,000 feet, I can find another restaurant. So it's good for you to be near an area that have a lot of retailers, a lot of dress stores. So we have like regions in Coral Gables in Florida that have a lot of wedding dresses. Why that happened there? Because when you don't find your wedding dress in the store, you go to the store in the side. So everyone profit more on this. That's much more easy to understand. Like 5 Fifth Avenue is a huge cluster, and Greenwich Village in New York also is a huge cluster. You have a lot of bars there. You have a lot of jazz bar there. So if you don't like one bar, just walk a half a block and have another bar that may interest you. And that's very easy for you to understand, very easy for you to reach and see in the city. And the last thing that is important is the type of stores that you may have or may locate. We have like 4 type of stores. The first one is active sidewalk store, uh, is where you put a store in a density city. Is here's Oscar Freire, is the biggest dresses street in São Paulo, but we also have a lot of examples everywhere in the world. So if you want to put your business in an active sidewalk area, you have to understand that your business should be smaller, should have a small billboard in the facade, and you also don't have to need parking lot. You don't need a parking lot for you. You have like, for example, neighborhood stores that you also will need parking lot, and will have to be plenty of parking lots in your business. And you understand that here probably your profit will be lower than in a active sidewalk area. Why that? Because in an active sidewalk area, when people are walking in the front of your business, you have much more opportunity to catch your client, because he's looking your window, he's looking your product, he's walking about a very slow pace. He can watch your price, he can get interested in your business. If you are in the mall, your chance to convert your client, your chance to get it is much lower. That's why you have to understand the reality, and probably here your business have to be a little bigger than an area if you are looking for a sidewalk area. And we have also to understand if you're located in a strip. That's a concept that Robert Venturi, an architect that makes a case about Las Vegas Strip. He say that the city tend to evolve, and the first step of evolving is that when a street is like a strip, like Las Vegas Strip, you need huge billboards to have the attention of a client. And most of the times, like just like Leroy Merlin, there's a French company that have like hardware store, and they have to locate inside near the roads, near highways. They have huge stores like Lowe's, for example, and they need the car to have at least 1 to 2 miles to understand that a Leroy Merlin is that area. So you need to the car to accept, understand, go to the right lane, and then get inside. The same thing happened, for example, in International Drive in Orlando. You have giant billboards because your client is passing through in a very fast pace. So you have to accomplish that. You have the business there, you have to slow your car and then enter in the parking lot. So your business will need a huge area because your client need to understand that you are there. And that's one thing that is important. And the fourth part is very rare to happen is resignify industrial areas like Dumbo in New York or like other areas like Amsterdam in Netherlands. You have these old industrial areas that you can resignify. You can make another thing that create a shopping mall. In this area here is a little tricky because most of the time it's not well located. Most of the time you don't have people passing through. So the building itself is an attraction. So the location inside this place must be according to the target of the enterprise. So if it's an enterprise for artists and you are, like example, a donut shop, probably won't work it because you have to have fit with the enterprise itself, with the marketing of the enterprise. That's and most of the times there are cool bars there. And we have what to see. We have to understand what we have to see, for example, in a shopping mall and what we have to see in a city. First thing we have in a shopping mall, that's the end, I promise, we have to understand the floor plan. And the floor plan, the first thing is understand where's the escalators and where's the entrance of a shopping mall. The first thing, you can also create mathematical systems that can show you where people tend to concentrate and also which one are the best corridors inside the shopping mall. And then we have to not just see the escalators, but understand where the escalators are heading to, where the parking lot, the shopping mall, where the entrance and the exit of the escalators, and also understand what are in the right side of the escalator, because most of the people are right-handed, they tend to go to the right, and also where are the anchors of the shopping mall, like it's Fifth Avenue or Zara or Primark in Europe or H&M, where they're located, and try to understand if their positioning of the market positioning is according for your positioning. That's why it's so important, and that's why I take a little minutes in the beginning to tell you about why are your clients buy your product and why are your clients buying, where are they are in the Maslow pyramid, because understanding the motivation, you have to understand also if one of those anchors have something to do with your business. And then we have to avoid like movie theaters, because most of the time movie theaters are full of people. So during the session is empty, and in the beginning of the session is not that good for you. Then we have like the food court is important for you as well. But in the city, what you have to do is first identify where your client is. So identify who is buying, why they buying, and go to the market, go to the city, go to the neighborhood, and understand where these people are, understand where are the competitors, understand where are the business owner, where are your clients, where are they living. You can use it also a platform. So in a platform, I can understand where are my business, where are my clients, where are they living. Also, you have to understand the clusters. You get to go after a cluster if it's interesting for you. So if you're a restaurant, you have to understand where are the other restaurants. You have to understand where are the other hardware store if you are a hardware store. You have to understand where are the other electronic stores if you are an electronic store. There is a good example, for example, in China, there's a mass, but it's a shopping mall. My wife thought it was like a other thing that she thought it was like a lot of books, but it's a lot of electronic store in Shenzhen area. And you have to understand, have to identify the main street of retail of the city, even being like, for example, Rome, the Via del Corso, or for example, Oscar Freire in São Paulo. You have to understand where people tend to buy, where the main streets of commerce in the city according to the clusters. And also you have to identify the centers of commerce in which neighborhood you are located, in which neighborhood your client is located as well. And then you have to take care with one thing that I always say to my clients to take care is about pedestrian lanes. Like a lot of parts of New York is closed for cars and have a lot of pedestrians. This area probably just work if you have one thing. two things actually: density and connection with the public transportation system. Is something that happens a lot in New York and works there, but happen also in Vienna, in Austria, in Buenos Aires, and Montevideo. So for these things to happen and to occur, you just don't have to go to listen to people that say that pedestrian lane is good, but you have to understand it have connection, have density for my business. And then we go to the last part is how. How can my company help you? I said you a lot of things about how city works and how city affects your business and what you have to understand, what you have to listen. Of course, it's just 40 minutes. I had to be very quick, but what we do, we have in the 7 years, we reached more than 1,200 projects in 14 countries in 3 offices. So we can help clients from United States, Europe, Latin America, all over the world, because what we do, as you see, you use the system of the city, you use the urban plan of the city, and I can understand what you feel, what your intuition said to you, I can show you by math. And by that, we have a lot of clients for all kind of industries. We have communities in the United States that trust in us. We have also franchisees that trust in us and franchisors that can trust on a kind of situation and analysis. And what we give you assertiveness, as far is the minimum thing that I can show you, but we give also coverage. We can give you the information very practically, quick, and with personalization for your business. That's because we develop methodology that's much for the just have main market data. We give you the trend calculation. So what do you have usually is just have the marketing data. Where are your population living now? But you still have to trust on the intuition. And as I show you by this presentation, by this webinar, sometimes what you feel is very important. But sometimes what you feel, you can't also duplicate to other areas. That's why we create this calculation tendencies and we calculate how it works and how this affects the way you think the city. And this way, we can show you maps, address, and comparing this address, showing you the best location for a business and how the city actually works and why it works the way it works. And then give you conclusions, not just give you the marketing data that we have from our platform, but also give you this trend calculation from concentration, flow, and reach that we can use not just in the city, but also inside shopping malls and give you comparisons, showing you which one of those real estate developments is good, is better for you, which one of those stores that are looking for leads is better for your business, but also show you how your competitors are located. Because one thing that is important, not just the location inside the city, but also if your competitor is well located according to its design, or the competitor is good there, but you have to be better. We can show you this. And we can show you that not just giving you a full analysis, but also presenting it to you, giving you a partnership platform that you can see the analysis there. And all the communication is by email or by WhatsApp group on whatever you need. We'll be there for you. And not just that, we delivered the system up to 20 days and we still up to 33 months in continuous assistance for you to give you a certaintiveness to understand where to put your business and why that location is the best location for your business and how to do that. That's because we are here to solve your problem and give you assistance. And that's why for Big Sky franchise clients and partners, we have a price about $1,500 to give a few analysis. And if you want to know more, we have to understand better how we can work, how we can help your business, we'll be glad to answer your calls. You can call by our cell phone here in the United States or email like contact@spacehunter.co or for one of our address in Brazil that attend elsewhere in the world. So thank you a lot and hope to help you in the future.
Well, thank you very much there, Francisco. That was a great presentation, very thorough, very in-depth, and I really like the historical analysis you gave on city design and how the various forms of that and how it flows. It really gives perspective in terms of the importance of site selection and really when you were showing some traffic patterns and traffic flow, it may not be what someone thinks the main business district is going to be. Well, I'd like to open it up just to see if there are some additional questions from any attendees that are on here. If you're in the room and you have the ability to either type into the chat or hit the raise hand feature, I can unmute you as well if you'd like to ask a question. And while we're waiting for that, Francisco, I'd love for you just to share too, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you if they want to take either ask more questions or maybe even get started with you?
Yeah, the best way to reach us is about email. You send email or right away, we're gonna answer it. Or if you want to give a call, is a good place, is a good way too. You can give a call by 256-280-4357. That's a good way to have us.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we have a question here from Angel. So Angel, go ahead there. Looks like you've got permission to talk. Go ahead and hit unmute. There you go.
Hi, it's nice to meet you, Francisco, and good to see you, Tom. I do a lot of global projects, and from time to time we need, I guess, some experts to come in on and talk about the demographics, especially when we're talking about sports. Most of the players that we're working with who are starting new businesses and so forth want to be able to have kind of a survey. Would you be able to be available for a project like that? We can say like I don't even know what your rates are, but I mean, the opportunity for us to hire you to come in and do a demographic scope and then see how far we can take it to the next level.
Yeah, we are available to do that. Even more if the player you're talking about is one player that we like. A lot of people here love sports, so yeah, but we can do that. We can do that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Great question, Angel. Any other questions there, Angel?
No, loving this. And like I said, it's great to have international partners who can give us a scope. I travel quite a bit, but I have not been to Brazil. I've got several partners who are from there, and I'd love to be able to come down and talk about how sometimes we can partner with each other as well, especially when you've got, most of my players are all over the globe. So they travel. It doesn't matter what their sport is, whether it's, European soccer, as you would say, the right football, or, American football or baseball, basketball, whatever. And in the PGA right now, we're talking about players transitioning out and starting their own businesses that make sense. And sometimes to know the demographics outside of their scope. So for example, a football player may not know the outskirts outside the city, but you might be able to give us some perspective on where a great place to land a location would be.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I already have some client that was a former soccer player in Europe. He was planning to make an investment in Portugal, and he know a lot about Lisbon, that was his city, but he know about a user of the city, not like an investor of the city. So he have a hard time to understand the neighborhood and where to place like a restaurant. The same thing happened here in Brazil. We have like a joint restaurant from the sister of Cristiano Ronaldo, the famous Portuguese for soccer player. And unfortunately, the location inside the city wasn't the best. So we didn't take it too long there. Wasn't a success because she knew how to cook. She was a terrific cooker, cuisine maker, and unfortunately, the location was very bad inside the city, and was a small city as well. Was a tourist attraction and didn't work because sometimes these players, they have the money, they have the understanding of their business, but one thing is you to understand your business. The other thing is you to understand the city where you to locate your business. And as a urban planner, I know that's very hard, very tough to understand.
Right. That's excellent. Thank you so much. This is very valuable information. Love your presentation today. Thanks, Tom, for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you, Angel. Well, Francisco, with that, I think that's a great presentation. I think this went very well. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for the opportunity. And anything that you may want, just have a call. Just have a call.
Perfect. And for anyone tuning in who'd like to share this presentation, we will have the replay live up on YouTube and our podcast, Franchise Your Business, and on our company blog as well over the next few days. And if we don't see you before then, enjoy your weekend. And Francisco, thank you again for your time and expertise. We greatly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, and have a great weekend. Actually, it's Friday.
You too. Thank you so much.